Thank you, Mr. Payasi. Thank you, Mr. Nair. And now I would request Mr. Manish Goel, CEO, TrustSphere, to come on stage and to announce the India launch of TrustSphere, which is the global pioneer in the field of fast data relationship analytics. People, let's give a huge round of applause to Mr. Manish Goel, CEO, TrustSphere.
Thank you very much. Is there a clicker? It's going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, Manmeet. Thank you very much, Delkant, for inviting me to speak. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. Actually, I don't get to India all that often, but this became a very, very good opportunity for me to come and visit. Today, I have the privilege of being able to speak to a group of you who are very in your own areas extremely distinguished. I'd like to talk today quickly about TrustSphere, who we are, what we're doing, and how we want to actually help change, in many ways, the digital divide in India, as well, both through the business community as well as much more broadly. So let me talk a little bit about who we are and what we're doing, if I can get the technology to work. It's very helpful to put the switch on. So first of all, what we'd like to say is, hello, India. That's from a TrustSphere perspective. You know, India in itself is an extremely complex, extremely large country. You know, I think in terms of the diversity that India has, it's incredible. It's more complex than just about any other country in the world. If you think about the Indian diaspora, again, right across the world, where Indians have been very successful at being able to provide and generate a huge amount of innovation in many, many countries around the world. From a technology perspective, which is where I'll address it today, really we live in exciting times. We live in the times of digital disruption right now. If you look at what Gartner calls it the nexus of forces. So they talk about social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. If you look at what IDC, the analyst firm IDC calls it, they talk about a third platform. This third platform is really giving people the opportunity to transform the way businesses operate and the way society operates. And, you know, I was noticing here, how many people have got a mobile phone in their hand right now? Yeah, most of you. How many people are going to be looking at that mobile phone at least once during this particular presentation? Most of you. If you think about what mobile has done, mobile has transformed the way that we operate. Mobile has transformed the way that we, as a society, interact with one another. If you look at the SMAC, which is a social, mobile, analytics, and cloud in India alone, some really interesting statistics from that. First one is, if you look at it, they think that it's Gartner that believes that there is over a $1 trillion opportunity. $1 trillion US opportunity. That's huge. If you look at it, 50% of large organizations plan to use social network data for analyzing sentiment. Who here uses Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter? Yeah, most people? I would have thought so. 91% of Indian businesses agree that analytics or data is going to help them make better decisions. And finally, less than 20% of Indian organizations think that big data, or fast data, as it may be, is just hype. What that means, in fact, I was at a conference I was at an IDC conference in Boston last week, and they were talking about the SMB sector here in India. And what surprised me was they talked about the SMB sector in India being more advanced in terms of its adoption of analytics than any other country in the world. That's phenomenal. And for me, that means that there's a huge opportunity to watch India as a platform, build a platform to allow it to almost leapfrog other countries in the world. So when people talk about social, again, most people think about LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. To me, that's not necessarily social. It's social media. It's a very important part of the way society is transforming. But to me, social is this. It's people who know each other. It's people who are... Whoops. It's people who know each other. The real social is about people who know each other and interact with one another. We interact with one another how? We talk to one another. we increasingly use voice, email, voice, instant messaging, etc., etc. So from our perspective, when we talk about the real social, we talk about people who are actually, it's about relationships. It's all about ensuring that, from a social capital perspective, relationships from a social are a real proxy of our social capital. And we talk about individuals as almost being the Internet of people. So if you think about, a lot of technology has been talking about the Internet of Things. We ourselves think of individuals as the Internet of people. So real social for me is about the Internet of people. There's been a lot of debate in India about free basics. I'm sure many of you have a particular view on it. I think the only thing I'll say about free basics here is really it shows that the value of social is huge. Connectivity and social is a very, very important part, which is why folks like Facebook, folks like Google have been wanting to come in and actually help to bring that digital divide closer. The other interesting stat, there's a really interesting stat that came through. So in all of this social data that's being created, and there's a huge amount of social data, there's a lot of noise. Did you realize that I read this just recently in the HBR, the average human attention span is about 8 seconds. It's gone down to 8 seconds. The goldfish has 9-second attention span. So if you think about that, we've actually re-engineered our own brains to the point where we have a smaller attention span than a goldfish. And I think a lot of that's got to do with the fact that we're using mobile devices and with information overflow that's going through in terms of what we have. We talk about big data, and I think Dirk was talking about big data before. From our side, big data, there's a number of challenges with big data. And if you take a second to read the cartoon there, really what it's saying is big data for a large portion of time was all about making sure you store data. From our perspective, it's not really about storing data. I think storing data is one thing. It's actually about being able to get analytical insights from this. How do you get insights from that data? That's what becomes important. And in many ways, when Dirk was talking about fast data, it's about how do you actually take those insights and make sure that they're available to people as quickly as possible in areas where they can actually be utilized. And that's from a TrustSphere perspective, that's where we've spent a lot of time thinking about analytics and how do we actually make analytics useful for different people. And we've come up with four major best practices. The first one is around signal to noise. How do you actually take from this vast amount of data the relevant amount of data? So relevance is about bringing the noise right down to the point where you actually have the signal. The second part's around about time to insights. These insights have got to be delivered fast. If they're delivered historically, they become very, very almost useless. They become academic to an extent. What you want to do is you want to make sure that these insights are available such that you can make decisions upon them. The third thing is around embedding analytics. And embedding analytics is about saying, how do you make these analytics available in systems that people are using right now to do the work that they're doing? If they're not using the systems and the data is not available in those systems, then actually there's no real value because you need people to change behaviors. The fourth one's around data integrity. How do you actually build and make sure that the sources of data that you're bringing in are complete and they're accurate? Because there's nothing worse than actually making wrong decisions. You make a lot of wrong decisions based on incorrect data, incorrect underlying data. However, nonetheless, the fundamentals of business don't change, right? It's all about people and trust. It's all about relationships. It's around about building communities and the ecosystems. And it's also around social responsibility and social inclusion. Each of these are very important aspects of what our society looks like. So fundamentally, it's all about people and trust and people and relationships. Let me talk you quickly through what our journey is from a TrustSphere perspective in terms of our journey into India's digital journey. A little about us. We're headquartered in Singapore, founded in 2011. We have offices around the world. We really focus on working with governments and enterprise customers right across the world. We have several hundred customers right across the world. We've built a platform, which I'll show you in a little bit, around relationship analytics. We have deployments right across the world. And just to give you an idea of some of our clients, like the U.S. Senate's a client of ours, the state of Massachusetts, GE is a client, Singtel, Optus. We work with a bunch of governments and a bunch of large corporates around the world. We also work with a number of partners. Key partners of ours are people like IBM, Salesforce, Sugar CRM. We work with a number of partners around the world, each of whom are embedding our technology into our analytics, into their technology platforms. Also, Deekant and Manmeet were mentioning the analysts. We work very closely with the analyst community, who's extensively covering what we do. And likewise, we've won a number of awards, which is all very nice. I'm going to put up the most technical diagram you're going to see here. You're not going to get any more technical than this, I promise. But what we're doing is, and our vision is to build an analytics platform. And that analytics platform basically takes from very simple communication flows, communications that we do all the time. It puts it through our analytics engine. And from there, we actually take those analytics and embed the data and the insights up into a variety of different business applications. What does that really mean? It means this. At the end of the day, what we're doing is we're understanding what's happening between people and taking what's happening between people and making it available to other people to make sure we can do our jobs better and we can make society better. Fundamentally, that's what we're doing. And we're transforming in the business environment, we're transforming 3 key business processes: sales, risk, and people. So we're making sure that the sales and customer engagement process works much more effectively. Risk process works much more, risk and governance is much more assured. And finally, from a people analytics perspective, understanding whether employees are engaged or not, making sure that we can understand from a succession planning perspective, do we have the right successors in place? In mergers and acquisition environments, are organizations merging? Are they able to merge effectively or not? I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of this. There should be some sound as well. Actually, don't worry about the sound. What we've got going on here, just to give you an idea, is an analytics in real time. So, actually, don't worry about the sound. No. If you have a look at this, what the technology is showing you here is how a social network actually grows based on communication flows that are going through. So we're actually showing you this underneath the covers of our platform. You can start to see how networks actually begin and work. Networks are quite organic. If you think about it, even in a group like this, you can understand who's related to who and how people are related. It's a very powerful way of being able to actually connect the dots between different people. If you have a look at what we have here, we're showing you, again, how we can dive into and understand networks and explore networks. Our clients are using this to better engage with their customers, to actually manage risk and governance in particular areas where there's any sort of bribery and any sort of bribery or corruption allegations, and also making sure that they can provide a very strong way of being able to onboard new staff. As I said, the digital transformation that we're engaging with is around sales analytics, around risk analytics, and people analytics. And again, the approach that we're taking is to say there's a number of analytics best practices, but how do we actually bring them in and make them part of somebody's day-to-day life? So if you look at, for example, what we've done is we've taken, and this is for those of you who might be using CRM systems such as Salesforce, what we've done is we've taken our analytics and we've embedded our analytics into existing applications. So if you have a look at the little red, orange, and green lights, what they are is a real-time reflection of what's happening in the social communication flows, but brought into a context around customers. We also build what we call a trust score. Trust score is around really understanding the strength of a relationship. And for those of you who use LinkedIn, you may have lots and lots of connections on LinkedIn, but actually how many of those people on LinkedIn who are your connections are real relationships? What we're doing is understanding the difference between a relationship and a mere connection. So again, on Facebook, you've got lots of Facebook friends, but how many of those are real relationships? We're understanding the difference between that based on the level of interactivity and the transactions that we're seeing going on. And lastly, we also have a set of mobile applications which, for example, help you find the best connection to somebody that you're prospecting. So let's say you wanted to meet with, or you wanted to prospect, or sell something to, or you wanted to meet somebody that you didn't know already. How would you normally get to them? How would you normally find them? You would normally ask one of your friends or one of your colleagues for an introduction to somebody. How do you find that person who has that that knows that person already? What we're able to do is very quickly and very easily show you who has that direct connection to that person that you're trying to prospect from within your organization. So overall, our vision and our technology is all about this. Being able to take simple, practical, and actionable insights for the use of using our analytics and making sure that we can make businesses much more successful. The other thing is it's about making sure we democratize that data and we allow employees within the organization to utilize that data to help them really participate in the success of their own organizations. If you give people the data that they need, they're able to do their job much more effectively and much more cohesively. So, and very finally, India, for us, in India more so than any other place that I've been to, it's all about relationships. India is a very relationship-oriented country, and it's I think Indians are very relationship-oriented from a cultural perspective. So from our perspective, we feel that this is such an important part of being able to take and understand the overall social capital of companies here, as well as the country, and be able to leverage that to greater effect. So with that, I'll thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manish, for your valuable insight. Well, as we have discussed earlier, Raise Bharat is a platform for uniting urban and rural Bharat on the concept of inclusive growth. Arsym's vision is to create a forum where corporate, NGOs, educationalists, and researchers will be coming together to muzzle the digital divide and build sustainable and uniform society. So, Arsym has planned something. Arsym has planted 5 trees on behalf of all the active participants of today's event. So, sir, on behalf of Arsym, Mr. Devkan Payasi, the co-founder of SayTree and the trustee of SayTree, would like to present this certificate to you, Arsym Go Green certificate powered by SayTree. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr.